How's everybody doing? Chad Ikes with Courage Unlimited and Courage Barbell. Today, I want to talk about not rushing your setup, but being patient and being comfortable. And this takes an actual mindset that we have here at my gym, the mindset that I used to be so successful in strength sports. There's a twofold situation here. There's emotions, which if we use our emotions can be very powerful. And then there's also logic. And logic has to take the first step in everything. And then your emotions become an enhancement to the strength, logic, and foundation that you've developed. One of the things I see a lot of lifters use, and I actually dealt with this just the other day with one of my newer lifters, they let the weight get into their head and they think it's heavy. And they go, oh my God, it's so heavy, I have to hurry it up and rush and get through it. And this is a horrible thought process, first of all. The better and closer you can start to lift to perfect, the better chance you have of finishing the lift and finishing it in proper technique. So the setup is so crucial and important. But what happens is a lot of people are like, oh, it's heavy, I gotta rush. And so they rush through the lift and they never get set up, and they end up missing the vast majority of their lifts. And in their head, their thought process, from what I can tell, is these people are like, oh, I got to get stronger. It's heavy weight. I got to lift more heavy weight. I got to get stronger. And it's like, no, it wasn't the weight, the poundage that was on the bar that messed you up. It was your positioning. You were not in the correct position, so the weight felt heavier, and you freaked out and rushed through a lift that you could have been in control at. So I'm notorious for telling people the lift starts when you touch that bar. Actually, it starts when you step to the bar and start thinking about the lift. A squat does not start when you descend. The squat starts when you step up into the squat rack, the power rack, or the monolift. From that point on, it's intent. Everything must done with intent. Everybody at my gym, every lift, if you're doing curls, I want them done with intent. Everything's about intent. You control your body. Your mind controls your body. So you have to be focused. You have to use your mind. So the example I'm going to use is in a squat. And this is what happened the other day, and I see this happen all the time. The weight started finally getting heavy, and she's new. I'm teaching her a lot of stuff. She hasn't picked it up yet. But what happened, instead of getting under the bar, getting set and picking this bar up and taking your 3 steps and being in perfect position, she kind of blew it from the very beginning. Instead of picking this bar up like this, she picked it up and let her back relax. And now she's like this, if you can see, all rounded and hunched over. Now her whole rib cage is sitting down on her, and all of this is forcing it so she can't really breathe and she can't get a breath. She can't get a brace. So basically, what's going to happen? If you can't breathe and you're struggling to breathe, what do most people do? They start freaking out. So she's freaking out. She's like, oh my God, it's heavy. I gotta go. And then right there, everything's out the window. Technique's gone. So it wasn't that the weight was too heavy for her. She was in the wrong position. Yeah, sure, the weight was heavy. Yeah, it was a PR, which she did get a PR in only a month of training with me, which is cool. But it wasn't the PR I wanted. I don't really care about the weight. I want to see her perform the lift properly, and then the PRs will come, and they'll keep coming if we're doing it right. I'm not looking for the quick spin. So what happens is you're like this, and you're all hunched over, and you're in a bad position, and your body's trying, and you're shaking. If you would have picked it upright and went bam, bam, okay, poof, get in this position. Okay, now everything's stacked, it's good, I'm strong, I'm in control. I can take those extra couple seconds to make sure my root's good, to make sure my lats are down, pulling my shoulders down, my shoulder blades are retracted, making sure my back is in arched neutral spine, which has an arch, and everything's lined up. And then she can go, okay, start the movement with the glutes. and bam, everything will fall into place. She probably would have came up way faster with that weight. It would have been way easier, and we might have been able to go a little heavier and get a bigger PR that day. Or even at that, we may have called it and said, you got a PR, it was fast, looked clean, perfect. Let's move on. And this is the same thing with a bench. People will take out their bench and you're like, I'm struggling, go, I gotta go. No, if you take the bench out, if you got your shoulder blades dropped, retracted, and you take it out, bam, bam, you can hit it in that part where all your biggest muscles have the weight and that bar's balanced. And it don't take that much energy to maintain it. That's the thing people don't understand. They don't understand if you're in the right positions, it's way easier. When I did my 1221 squat, which didn't count because the side judges called me on depth. But all of my big lifts, and especially my 1221, because I wanted to make sure my 1221, I wanted to make sure I was in the right spot. I wasn't going to rush it. I was standing up there so long like this, like people in the audience are screaming at me to go. And it was really hard for me to not comment on that one because I was comfortable. I could stand here all day with that kind of weight because if I'm locked in and in my position, it's not really that hard to just stand with it. If I'm out of position, if my shoulders are rounded, if my back's not in neutral, if I'm forward on the balls of my feet, it's hard to maintain that weight and I'm going to be shaking it all over the place. But once I go bam and settle into my position, it's actually pretty easy. And that was 1,221 pounds, and I don't want to risk all the guys that are here trying to help me out, spotting and loading and all this other stuff. Like, I want to be secure. I want to make sure I'm going to get this lift. And I did stand up with it. I just needed to get a little deeper. Anyway, same thing with my bench. You'll see me take out a bench, 800 plus pound benches. Boom! Lock it in and get my focus where it needs to be. So back to the thought process of this is people go, oh, I just need to get stronger. No, go here. Okay, identify the problem. Okay, that's the first step. You got to go, wait, okay, there's a problem here. This shouldn't be this tough. Why am I not getting tight? Okay, it's really, really heavy. Okay, well that could be. I mean, you can get to a point where it's just heavier than your body's used to, and even if you're in position, it may be hard. But don't stop there. Continue to go, wait a minute, let me change perspectives. Let me think about this a little bit. Let me review the video. Like, don't just jump to the first conclusion and go, there it is. Always be willing to take another look at it, to step back and see things differently and figure out the answer. The first thing you come up with is not always the best answer, especially in lifting when a lot of people think emotionally instead of logically. You need to step back. You know, we tend to look at lifting and we go, oh, I just gotta get stronger, I just gotta get meaner, I gotta lift angry. Bullshit. Lift smart and you'll lift longer and you'll put up bigger numbers in the long run. And this sport, damn fly, and this sport is not a short sport. It's not a sprint, it's a distance run. So, I guarantee if you're having trouble at the top and you're rushing lifts, if you learn to hit your positions, you'll be fine. And again, that means when you don't pick the bar up wrong and then try to get in position. I'm going to try to do a video on my pet peeves, but I'll go over one right now. One of my pet peeves is people that pick the bar up and they do this and they squat and they're like, ugh. Then before they go, why did you waste all that energy standing all hunched over? Why didn't you just pick it up in the right position? Bam, 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 bam. You know how many people get hurt during walkouts or being loose in the lift? Like, think long term, think safety. One of the biggest setbacks any lifter is ever going to experience is going to be injuries. If you're under an empty bar, that's still weight on your back. An empty bar is just an opportunity to do things correctly. So if you're warming up with an empty bar, think about it. My buddy, my good friend Casey Williams, you should follow Casey on Instagram, was just talking the other day, a saying that he heard actually from the man, the GOAT, Eddie Cohn. I actually heard it from the man, Ernie France, who actually both of those guys were huge lifters in my day, and guys that I completely looked up to. And when I met them, they're both just cool as shit, man. They're great guys. But I heard it from Ernie. He heard it from Ed, which is kind of funny to me. But treat heavyweights like they're light and lightweights like they're heavy. Or vice versa. Which is meaning when you're warming up, treat the weight like it's heavy. Lift with intent. Make every movement count. Every movement programmed. Every movement exact. And now when the weight starts getting heavy, they don't mean treat it like it's light and just blah, 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 blah. They're talking about a mindset. You don't want to go, oh, I just got to pick it up, bro. It's 1,000 pounds. No, they're talking about the mindset. They're talking about not letting that weight get in your head. Okay, there's heavy weight on a bar. Who gives a shit what's on the bar? I have to execute this lift correctly. Okay, lifting is it's about the mind. It's not about the body. The mind tells the body what to do. If the mind's not strong, the body's never going to do it. We work on the mind in training. We train the mind just like we train the body. So treat those light weights like they're heavy. Treat the heavy weights like they're light. Doesn't matter what's on the fucking bar. Do it right every single fucking time. All right, guys. That's just a quick one. Something for you to work on. Boom! Get stronger, get PRs. Courage Unlimited. Subscribe, like it, comment on it. Help me grow this thing. All right, fellas and ladies. We'll see you next time. Out.